They got so much technology now. I'm like, it should be easy to just do.
Was in South Carolina. So she goes back. She didn't go back to bed. She went
Yeah, man, we that's what we actually. Sorry, I'm working on the whole concept of the app. Yeah. Because my goal right now, I got like certain days we deliver and certain days I'm on set, and then but my goal is to get it on some Jimmy shit. Like that order in, I on the way certain days. Yeah.
Still want to be fresh.
Right.
So I was thinking about it.
And that's right now, I only have certain delivery days because I'm very on get being fresh, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, like his juices was made like last night, 12 in the morning, you know what I'm saying? And I get up and I talk to him, you know what I'm saying? So those are fresh juices, you know what I'm saying? And it's done in a cold press machine, so it ain't no heat done to it or nothing. It's all fresh.
What I did learn from my mom was that, you know, when you
exactly. And then that's why you gotta use so the machine I got is crazy. Like I came up with mornings. check. Mornings with Michael and Friends. Power 108.9. Big Von hanging out with us today. We're gonna holler at Big Von too. Got new projects he's working on from that Detroit, Michigan. But first, we're gonna stay right here in ATL, Southwest ATL, to be more Pacific. That's how they say it in Atlanta, especially in the SWATs. Y'all be saying Pacific over there?
No, I say specific.
Specific. I'm sorry. Hey, Rainey.
I went to Emory.
Hold on, where you go first though? That bunch, y'all.
I did come to that bunch.
Rainey Branch is in the building. Good morning, Rainey.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm wonderful.
Very hard to find a true ATLian, and we found one today.
Yeah.
Yes, we have. What do you think about Atlanta after all of these years? Like growing up, you remember, Greenbrier was the poppin' mall to be. If you ain't had no car, you couldn't get the Lennox. And about everybody I know from Atlanta has worked at Six Flags.
Yes. Well, I think I was the only person that didn't work at Six Flags, but I had the season pass, so I was there every day. Atlanta has changed a lot. I've been gone for at least 12 years.
Oh, okay.
And getting back recently, I was like, where did this traffic come from?
Yeah.
It's like LA out here.
Exactly. You try to drive up 75, boy, you see like 12 lanes on I-75 now when it was only 2 back in the day.
Yeah.
How long you been acting?
I've been acting. I've been getting paid to act for about 6 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. When did you catch that bug? Like, was there something that inspired you to say, I think I can do this?
So I've always been a singer, and in college, I went to Emory, and my freshman year, I was asked to be a part of a musical theater company. And while I was doing that, I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Plus, I was getting paid. But yeah, my parents were like, so what are you going to actually major in? So it's something I've been doing for a long time. But before I started acting, I actually was a teacher.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Wow.
I taught middle school science in the Bronx.
Did you really?
Yes,
wow, that's interesting. Very interesting. And now you have a new project out, Black Girl's Guide to Fertility.
Yes.
Right. Now, tell us about that project.
So it's a web series that I'm doing. Ali plays my husband. And it is a project about one woman's real struggle with fertility issues.
Ali, aka Mike Thomas, in the building. What up? What up, Ali? Long time no see. We were just talking about the green room, Terry Vonn's green room.
Okay, yes, sir.
And every time I think about that, I think about a place that was before its time.
Man.
The green room was a little bit before its time.
It was before its time, man. It was a place where actors could gather and fellowship and talk and have coffee and tea. And I mean, man, the people that used to come through there and the people that you see now, you bump into them. I remember you from the green room. And I do agree, it was before its time. We need a spot like that back.
Yeah, 2 legends that I met at the green room and became good friends with, the late Tommy Tommy Ford from Martin, and Michael Knight, the fashion designer. Michael Knight. Two good friends, two people that I met from the green room that are now passed on, man. But like you just mentioned, that place was an amazing place. Shout out to Terry and Shannon, Nash, exactly. Nikki, I gotta say shout out to Nikki, who actually helped. Shannon's daughter actually helped me build the platform of the show that I was doing at the house, because this all started at home. Nikki was one of those people that helped me get there. But shout out to you.
Even did the show. Did you ever do the show at the green room?
Yeah, I did. I think I did a live broadcast from down there or something back in the day. Yeah, but congratulations, the new project, man. Tell us about Mike Thomas.
Mike Thomas, you know, I'm not going to say he's in the shadow of his wife's issues, but, you know, a lot of attention. Mike Thomas is also dealing with these infertility issues. I know a lot of attention is put on Rainey's character and the wife, but in the background is this husband who has a child, so he has procreated and has a seed, but he knows the importance of his wife's issues and why she wants to conceive, and the importance of conceiving and having something that has come from you. And he's just trying to be sympathetic and trying to understand what she's going through. And I think he's kind of playing the back and kind of seeing how she's going to deal with it, and how she's going to handle it. And I love the way that the writer didn't make him the forefront just now.
Okay.
He's giving her time to deal with it, and the audience time to catch up, you know, with her issues and what she's doing.
Let's talk about fertility in the African American community. I think that's one of those topics too that we don't like to talk about or admit that it's real. But after doing the project, was there something more that you learned about fertility in the African American community?
Oh, absolutely. There's a statistic that says about 14 to 15% of African American women experience infertility, whereas 7% of white women in this country experience it. But we are much less likely to actually get the resources we need. One of the reasons is because just culturally, it's a taboo. You know, we associate femininity with procreation for some reason in our community, and I think that's seen in, you know, the stereotype of Black women in America. So we've got that, as well as the fact that a lot of us don't have access to proper health care. When we do, oftentimes, as we've been talking about in the media lately, Black women, when they deal with an OBGYN or a doctor in general, there are all these stereotypes they have of us, that oftentimes there are all these barriers. So when you even get to the doctor's office, it's automatically assumed that you have, you know, a promiscuous sexual history, that you can't afford healthcare, and therefore they aren't going to provide certain tests to you. All of these different barriers have been put in place by society to make it that much harder for us to actually get the resources we need.
Yeah.
And so this project is about shedding light on A, what infertility is, B, how it affects a relationship, and C, as we go through the series, you're going to see the different ways in which I interact with my doctors, the ways in which I go about taking certain types of tests. Because just during the process of, you know, researching it, I learned about IUI, which is intrauterine. Actually, I don't know what it stands for, but IUI is different from IVF.
Okay.
And then there are other types of things that you can do to try to make the woman's body take the egg and the sperm.
Yeah.
And everything is so expensive.
Right.
You know, so then you have to get into, okay, now I know I'm infertile. Now what are the steps I need to take to even be able to afford to get these tests done? And that's something that we're going to talk a lot about in the show.
And Ali, like from your perspective, you know, being a husband, like sometimes the man has to deal with that too. And we don't know how to deal with those situations, because growing up, your dad never taught you. Now, okay, if this happens in your life, then this is how you handle it. This is one of those things, like we say, we don't talk about it as much. So now when we get it, do most men run away?
Well, one thing that I learned is that, you know, a lot of emphasis is put on the woman, but men make up 30 to 50% of infertility. So they're half as well when it comes to couples that are having a problem conceiving. And another thing that I learned was the main factor in a man's infertility is the temperature of his testicles. So, you know, not sure what that temperature, I didn't get a chance to read down, but not sure what that temperature is supposed to be. So, but there are things that we can do to make sure that we are healthy and we're able to conceive as well. But I don't think that most men run away. I think that most men stay and they work it out. And a lot of times, and you know, the male is the provider. So it's his job to pay for a lot of these things. I know one of my clients, he spent tens and thousands of dollars trying to conceive and go through these things, and he hasn't left his wife, and they're dealing with it. I think a lot of times the wife may, you know, one couple may want to adopt and go some other measures, and another couple or another spouse wants to conceive. So that could be a problem as well.
Mornings with Michael and Friends on Power 108.9. Rainey and Ali hanging out with us. The premiere of the new web series, Black Girl's Guide to Fertility, is going to be coming out soon. I'm going to tell you the date. I think Ali just told us why all men put their hands in their pants.
There you go. You got to keep that temperature right.
Hey, got to check that temperature, Charlotte. You started it. You started it. Hey, we come back. We got your birthdays and shout outs. Also, Big VONN is in the building. We're going to holler at my man, Big VONN. Boy, I wish I was a couple pounds heavier because I would get that sweater, boy. I probably need a couple pounds and a few inches of height as well, I think. Hey, it's Mornings with Michael and Friends on Power 108.9. Shout out.
That's powerful.
Intrauterine insemination. I cannot think of that.
Right now, too, a lot of Black women are dying at the on the birth table.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
really
I'm
crazy
just
right
like,
now.
Jesus.
One thing I heard, like Serena had said,
Come
that they thought she was just an angry Black woman.
Right, right.
Had an attitude or
Right.
something like that.
Right.
Yeah, and I can definitely see that. I had, and it was, you know, one thing that was hard about this, I have 6 kids.
Word.
So to have empathy for, you know, someone who can't conceive and for this couple was something that I had to kind of, you know, deal with.
Yeah.
And I remember once when one of my kids was being born, my wife, she has this regiment that she does when she's in the birthing room. You know, she grunts 3 times and that baby's popping out. I mean, this happened 4 times. This was the 5th baby. I knew what was about to happen. You know what I'm saying? So she had grunted 3 times. I knew the baby was down there. I looked, saw the head. And here come the nurses, like 7 nurses in the room. Doctor wasn't even in the room yet. Nurses come, my wife's like, they got to give me a shot. I'm like, what are y'all doing? We have to knock the service floor. I say, no, somebody grab the baby. Right there, somebody grab the baby. They're like, yeah. I'm like, no. And then I hear it, I say, somebody grab the fucking baby. I'm going to grab the fucking baby. Finally, little white lady kind of long hair, she comes and she grabbed the damn baby. Slow down. I was grabbing gloves and everything, G. I was about to go in. And finally, they literally, go in.
Go in.
But yeah, you gotta stay diligent, man.
You do, man. Let Big VONN get that mic phone. Yeah, you damn near gotta be in control in that room.
January 18th on her YouTube channel.
Black Girls Guide to Fertility.
Mornings with Michael and Friends, Power 108.9. Got an awesome show for you today. I told you that today is January 7th, 2019. And did you know that it was on this day back in 1980 that President Jimmy Carter signed legislation that authorized $1.5 billion in loans to bail out Chrysler? Yep. It was also on this day back in 1927 up in Hinckley, Illinois, that the Harlem Globetrotters played their first ever basketball game. Yep, on this day back in 1927. And it's crazy because every year I do this story about the Harlem Globetrotters. It takes me back to my Uncle Jeff. I know y'all probably heard this story 1,000 times, but yeah, it was Uncle Jeff that stood me up, my mama's brother. He told me on a Wednesday, nephew, I'm going to come scoop you up Saturday. We're going to see the Harlem Globetrotters at the Capitol Center. Saturday comes, mama goes off and say, yeah, your Uncle Jeff will be here in a minute. Polo, I sat in that house all day.
Oh, man.
All freaking day. Man. Uncle Jeff ain't never show up. Man. But you know how hurt I was as a child. You see how it scarred me because I'm talking about the Harlem Globetrotters today? Right. Man. We got to talk to Jeff. Right. Well, we have to pray for Jeff. He's no longer with. He's passed on. Okay. I'm still mad at him, though. All right.
Talking about being bitter. Hey, Big VONN hanging out with us today. Hey, if you got a birthday today, happy birthday to you. Shout out to your birthday. Birthday's being brought to you by our coach, Coach Oliver Adams. Y'all know that true power comes from the inside of you. And once the power to live is ignited, change happens immediately. You grab a copy of his latest book. It's called Power to Live Through Obstacles on his website, power2live.net. If you celebrate a birthday today, here's some celebrities that share your same day. ATL's own Atlanta Brave Ozzy Albies is 21 years old today. Also got to say happy birthday to little Blue Ivy Carter, who is 7 years old today. Happy birthday to Blue. Actor Nicolas Cage is 55 years old today.
Best actor ever.
Oh, that's one of your favorites?
I've done a movie with him, man.
National Treasure.
Man.
National Treasure.
Oh, yeah,
Is
it's a
a
movie.
National Treasure.
Yes, it is. Oh, you did a movie?
Go watch Dog Eat Dog on Netflix. Yeah, I did Dog Eat Dog.
Ah, see, there you go, boy. Everybody dropping their credits in here. Yeah, Polo.
Yeah,
Man.
as he should.
I was in the Young Blood Shake 'em Off video until I got cut out by Pretty Ken.
Pretty Ken was at the gym yesterday. Shout out to Ken. What up, buddy?
Man, they gonna say I had on too much Tommy Hilfiger. It was the 90s.
No labels, man.
Right,
no
it was the
labels.
90s. Everybody was rocking Tommy back then. Also, actor Jeremy Renner is 48 years old today. Marcus Scribner, do y'all know who he is? Andre from Blackish, the oldest son. Yeah, yeah, he's 19 years old today. Also, happy birthday to singer Alloy Black, who's 40 years old. Katie Couric is 62 years old. And happy birthday to Mr. Footloose, Kenny Loggins, who turned 71 years old. Also, a couple of belated birthdays on yesterday. My WCW celebrated a birthday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the Pioneer Woman from Food Network. y'all haven't watched the Pioneer Woman?
That is amazing.
Reed Drummond, you know what I'm talking about?
I'm an Ina Garden.
Okay, yeah. I love Pioneer Woman, boy. She's so, but that girl can cook, boy.
Yes,
Yeah, and also Jameis Winston celebrated a birthday today. So happy birthday to you from us. Mornings with Michael and Friends at Power 108.9. Hey, look who in the building. Big VONN is in the building. What up, sir?
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning to you, man. Congratulations. Welcome to the show. Academy Award winning production company is what you do, all the way from that Detroit, Michigan. Congratulations. The new project is the Ice Cube jump that you just worked on, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. One, just tell us about this project real quick, and we're going to talk about how you got into this business.
Okay, great. Project came out about 3 weeks ago. The 7th, actually, it's been a month now.
Okay.
Everything's Corrupt. On the Ice Cube, we produced half of the album. We got about 7 records on there. My production company. Shout out to my team. It's been a blessing, man. It's always good to work with, legends in the business.
Yeah. And when I look at your body of work, and we talk about some of them legends that you work with, let me ask you first, though, from Detroit, how did you get into this business?
Through high school. Started off as a rapper, you know what I'm saying? Then I wanted to learn more about the business, behind the scenes, took up business management, psychology, and got into more learning about the business.
Okay. And Rainey mentioned earlier, the question was when she started getting paid to act. When did you start getting paid to make music?
I grind for a minute. Probably like my first check, 2 years.
Okay.
Into it. You know what I'm saying? I did independent, made independent money, but first major check was 2 years into it. I've been doing it 20 years.
Oh, wow. Nice. 2 decades you've been doing this thing. And we talk about some of the artists that you work with. We can go down the line. India Ari, Macy Gray, Dej Loaf, Music Soul Child, Rick Ross, Cheesy, Birdman, Lil Wayne, and now a legendary project with Ice Cube. When you got to that point of putting the music together from a business perspective, who were some of the business people that you looked up to? Because this music game it's a different beast out there.
Yeah, it is. Russell Simmons, of course, Ice Cube, Scarface, Run DMC, everybody that I watched growing up. When I was younger, I spoken into existence and said I want to work with these guys, so that got me more into the business by watching them and watching their growth. And that enlightened me, and I said, man, this is something I want to really get into. So God opened up doors so I can walk through them, and I walk through and I'm opening up doors for other people.
There you go. I hear this a lot of, especially from my partners, they talk about the state of hip hop or the state of R&B or the state of music itself and how, it's not the same. And my argument is we're in a different generation now. And it happened with us growing up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Would you agree, Big Mom?
Yes, sir. Yeah, the state of music right now, everybody got their own opinion, but yeah, it's not like what it was, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, we got to accept this new wave, you know, that's in and, you know, kind of ride with it. But I'm an old school head, you know what I'm saying? Hip hop head, I'm 40. So it's like, you know, I was raised off real hip hop. You know, I understand that music, but today's music, you can hardly understand anything that a lot of these artists say.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I heard Meek with a line in one of his records say, "Your favorite rapper, mumble rapper." I was like, "Oh, that's pretty good. I like that cliche." Polo, what about you? I mean, you work in the business for a while too, didn't you?
Long time, yes sir, yes sir. I mean, it's kind of like what Von just said. Like when we first started coming in, people that were above us or were older than us were saying the same things. Like, man, what is that? You know what I'm saying? So, and even the Ice Cubes and the Ron DMCs, people were looking at them like, man, what is that? You know what I'm saying? So as the generations change, it's like either you're gonna get with it because it's gonna move, it's always gonna shift, it's always gonna change, or either you're gonna be an old head, you know what I'm saying, and be like, oh, that's whack. I mean, you just can't hate on the new generation. No, we can't understand it, but it's their way. It's their way. Either you get in or you just fall back and just watch, because it's going to happen. Yeah, and Big Von working with Q and his sound. Do you ever see the older artists, you know, from our generations, try to emulate what the kids are doing now, or are they sticking to who they are?
Nah, Q don't care nothing about that, man. Fun. You know,
right.
If you ever watched his interviews, he said himself, like, I do it for fun. You know, he made a mark in this industry and opened up a lot of doors. He speaks his mind. It's been political. The single we produced, you know, shout out to Sean Ski, my producer, Progressive President. You know, as soon as he dropped that, you know what I'm saying, it took to the internet and, you know, went viral. Just the title alone, you know, made people curious, like, yo, we want to hear this record. You know what I'm saying? So, nah, he do him with that. He don't try to emulate nobody. You know, he barely get features on the album.
Right,
you know
that's
so
true.
The only feature on this album is Too Short. You know, and my partner's wife, Shamia Crawford. You know, she's singing on one of the hooks, but other than that, nah.
Hey, Big Von hanging out with us today, owner of the Grammy Award-winning production company, We Got Hits Productions. Talk about some of your team over there at We Got Hits.
I got 5 producers, 3 songwriters: Sean Ski, Big Side, Sparks, Magneto 7, Eno Star. We just come together collectively and make hits. You know, I produce and write myself.
Okay.
You know, and get in the studio and grind it out. You know, I try to involve my whole team with everything. That's why we are part of this project with you.
Now, Polo, you know, I always say whenever we got some producers, and labels and stuff in here, I always go back to that 16 bars I wrote.
Man, let's hear it.
During the 94 Freak Day.
Hear it, man. I know you still remember.
Hey, what? I just got to change a couple of bars in there because I'm probably. I'm talking about Bill Campbell, so I might have to change that up.
Yeah, you got to change that. Yeah, that Bill Campbell line, you got to change that.
Hold on, my producer saying go to a commercial. Oh, I'm sorry, I got to go to a commercial. Damn. And I ain't about to embarrass myself. Ali. Hey, no, it was funny because we were recording a commercial in here for the National Guard, and we had some voiceover talents come in. And when I say they was in here killing them voiceovers, the dude was like, the National Guard, blah, blah, blah. And then the guy said, hey, Michael, you want to give your shot at doing the voiceover? I was like, nah, that's them dudes' job for real. Like, I am not trying to step on no toes.
Voiceover money, good money.
I heard once I saw that invoice he gave them for that voice, I was like, hold up, no, maybe I need some practice now.
Right. You got to practice every day.
Get this 16 ready for Big Von, but it's my break. They got Grammys over there.
Better take advantage.
Hey, we come back. We got more. It's Mornings with Michael and Friends on Power 108.9. Yes, sir. Raney, I know you got a bar or two in you.
Listen, I had a song called Crunkin' in a Mug.
Crunkin' in a Mug.
When I was in high school, and I knew that it was going to go platinum, and no one has ever heard it.
Okay, let's hear it.
Crunkin' in a Mug.
It might still work. Oh, wow.
Look at Von. He's trying to get to Von's trying to get into it.
And I was in a rap group in elementary school.
Yeah, we knew it. We knew it.
We started early.
Too early.
Early.
My wife was on the Detroit music scene for a long time, man.
Oh,
Then I got another good friend. You remember Dobadelic? Dobadelic, they toured with the Chronic on the Chronic tour. Kirk and Dynamite. Those were their names. But then she used to flow with
Hey, BB. Who was who, BB?
Yeah, that's all family.
Brown
I'm
skin.
Detroit, but I stay here now. I've been here about since what, 09?
09, okay, you came in 08.
Yeah, so about 8 years now. But yeah, Detroit, man, it's the eyes on Detroit right now. And a lot of labels and stuff looking at it. But it's Motown. That's Motown. That's where it started. Barry Gordy opened up the doors for a lot of artists. Dan Gilbert is coming in trying to define that and bring it back now.
Yeah.
So
We'll talk about that.
If you want me to sing my
Detroit,
song,
man,
I
West Side.
You can't.
totally will.
Okay.
I totally will.
I was
I'm about to say, let's do it.
Got family still there?
Huge family. My grandmother had 24 kids.
Wow.
My great grandmother had 24 kids.
Yeah. Let me make sure. You got to make sure you're not related to people that
I
got
know.
kids.
Right.
Most of my dad's side of the family is in Detroit. We're probably related.
Yeah, so you never know. I just get to talking to people and find out, like, oh yeah, your last name is what? Like Philip Simmons, Andrews. I'm like, okay, wow, that's all names.
Yeah.
Just never know today.
Yeah. I'm from Chicago, so it's right.
Yeah. We got family out there too. Like, a lot of
Where are you from?
I'm from here.
Okay.
But my dad was
Where you
military,
go
so we left.
So
We left. I went to Germany, and then we went to Fort Benning. That's Columbus. Yeah. Was there for a short time, and then by the time I got to junior high, we was in Alaska. And I didn't come back.
Okay.
After that.
I got you.
Because of the chair.
Well, I'm from here, but I was born in Chattanooga.
Chattanooga. That's Ursha, ain't it? Ursha Rainey.
Chattanooga. Yep.
People are still mad that he did not shout out Chattanooga at the Grammys the first time he was there.
It's a long time.
That was a long
I
time.
ain't never heard him shout it out.
I know.
He didn't talk about it in like,
Born and raised.
interviews, but he don't really he's Atlanta.
Service. T-Mobile and ATL.
Because you got
I'm AT&T.
Use the Wi-Fi right here. Oh yeah, use the Wi-Fi.
I got like one bar.
So what was Ice Cube's group's name?
NWA.
Back in not NWA.
Is it trivia?
No, I'm asking because I went through a phase where I was obsessed with Doughboy and all things Ice Cube. I was like 10, listening to A to the K to the 4 to the 7.
That's fine.
I don't know what the name of that group was.
Yeah, and it's 7 o'clock on January 18th at 7.
Okay. What's that?
Why'd you sit back down? You knew I was coming back in. You didn't even have to sit back down. Miss ATL.
Oh, you talking about that West Side Connection project he did?
Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
That was with what do you call his husband or ex-husband? T-Boz.
Oh yeah, Mac
Pimps.
10.
Yeah,
Mac 10.
Mac 10. Wow. I don't know how to do all this social media stuff.
That's the new way. Social media.
Yeah, I don't know.
Period.
Because I was trying to do this, but you can see my double chin, so
Mornings with Michael and Friends on Power 108.9. January 7th is the date. And did you know that today is also National Bobblehead Day? Yeah, Bobblehead Day is observed annually on January 7th. On November 18, 2014, the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame Museum was announced. They opened it in 2016 up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and will house the largest collections of bobbleheads. As you can see, we're bobblehead fans at Power. Got a couple lying around here, only because we're home of the Braves also, so we get those bobbleheads down here. Hey, Big VONN hanging out with us today. Talking about Detroit, where you come from, born and raised. When we think of Detroit, we think of M, we think of Big Sean, some of those cats. But Detroit is like the home of music, man. That's where it all started at, right?
Yeah, home of Motown, man. All the legends come out of Detroit, so I gladly pay homage, and thank, a lot of the artists, because everybody look back at Detroit and see, what an impact it made on the music industry. Shout out to Barry Gorey, for putting that down. But yeah, it's legendary there. We got Hitsville. When you come to Detroit, go visit, Hitsville on Grand Boulevard and Woodward, and see with a studio where, all the legends recorded at, Stevie Wonder, Aretha, all of them. So yeah, it's good history.
Yeah, I think sometimes I grew up in a family. My dad was he was one of the members of the Dynamic Superiors, which was a Chitlin Circuit group in DC, and they used to hit the boardwalk and drive up to New Jersey and do shows down in Atlanta with Blue Magic back in the day. But then they got that deal. They got signed with Motown back in the day, and they got their first big record contract. And Ashford and Simpson wrote their first album. They were the writers on their first album. Me being young, I didn't know what element I was in, but just to know that Motown was that spot for Black folks back in the day.
Yeah, when you mention Motown, this automatically refers back to Detroit. So I'm glad to be born and raised there. I've been here in Atlanta, since '09. I'm an ATL. What is it, ATL alien now?
Yes, sir.
So I love the A.
Yeah.
Detroit is where I'm from, but this is my home here. So it's a blessing to be able to come from somewhere and be allowed to show your growth and help others.
Let me ask you, Big Von, about Detroit itself. I know you've been in Atlanta for a while, but when I heard that, as a basketball fan, the Detroit Pistons used to play in Ann Arbor, am I right?
Yeah.
Now they moved them to Detroit.
Yeah.
Is that because what they're doing is kind of just bringing the city back together?
Yeah. Well, the homie Dan Gilbert, shout out to Dan Gilbert. He's doing it. He's making a big impact. Rebuilding Detroit, especially downtown. I took Cube by there about 2 months ago and took Snoop over there too. And he was showing us the city, and this guy owns so much of the land in all of Detroit. So he's rebuilding everything downtown and across, and bringing it back up and the growth back up and getting people jobs and things of that nature.
Yeah, and Rainey's hanging out with us also. Rainey is an ATL, Rainey Branch. She's an ATL, and you left the city for a while. You went out to do your thing and then came back, and then you noticed the difference in our city. Like, for instance, the party Buckhead, that's gone.
Right.
Ain't no more of that. No more of that
Right.
Buckhead. But do you like what you see when you came back?
So I've been in LA for 12 years now, and Atlanta is becoming a bit like LA, in the sense that we've got a lot more health-oriented opportunities out here, a lot more juice bars. I live for a juice bar. Shout out to Juice ATL. Very excited about your company.
Yes.
I really like the West Side Provisions situation, but I laugh when people tell me, "Oh yeah, I live in West Midtown." I'm like, "Oh, you mean behind the water treatment plant?"
Right.
But it's cool to see. It's cool to see different parts of the city built up. It's very sad to see gentrification and how it has affected so many people of color. I mean, there are no projects in the city of Atlanta anymore. Everybody has been pushed out into Gwinnett and parts of DeKalb, which I guess explains the Migos, because for so long I was like, how are the Migos from Gwinnett County?
Right.
But once I moved back home and I saw the way in which the city had pushed people of color, lower income people of color into the northern suburbs, I was like, oh, got it.
I see. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what it is.
That's where it came from.
Yeah. So I mean, the city's doing some great things, but at the same time, we need to address like lack of public transportation for people that can't afford a car to drive into the city.
Right.
Also, the fact that rents are going up in this town.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, our wife and I, we sold our house a year and a half ago. So I'm thinking we sell the house, I'm about to find me a nice little spot for about $800 a month, little apartment.
No, sir.
Man, please.
Should have kept that.
Right, exactly. You're gonna be living in Gwinnett with the Migos. Decatur. Hey, but the new web series, January 18th is the date when we all can see it. I got a chance to check it out yesterday because I got that Oprah Winfrey exclusive yesterday. The project itself. Talk about the writer and the production of Black Girls Guide to Fertility.
So Sonara Eastman actually wrote and produced it, and it's based pretty much on her life. She and her husband have been struggling with infertility issues for a long time, and she started out as a children's book writer, and she actually writes for television now. And she wanted a way to really talk about her experience, because when they were going through these issues, you know, no one knows that you can't have a baby, but people keep asking, oh, when are you guys gonna have kids? And it got to the point where it was really affecting her mentally and emotionally. And so when she wanted to talk about it, close family friends told her not to, because you don't do that in our community. So she used this web series as, I mean, obviously she did talk about it, but she used the web series as a way to really help other Black women who are going through similar issues have an outlet for it. And I'm really glad that she created this project.
And Ali, we were talking about your family, man. You have a nice sized family.
I do have a brood. I have a basketball team. I have 6 children.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What did you learn what did you learn personally from the project itself?
Well, like we were talking about, and one of the reasons why you kind of said that was because it was kind of hard. Me having 6 kids, it was hard to have empathy for a couple like this, and to find that compassion and to really dive into the character. But I know that I had to really kind of reverse it and dive into how much I love my children and how much it just, the joy and the love that it brings to me. And then I had to imagine what it would be like without that love. And if I couldn't have Ali, Idris, Aya, Amina, Amir, and Nasi, if I couldn't have them in my life, what would that be like? And that was painful, man. Yeah. I mean, the tears flew. You know what I mean? The minute that I thought about life without them, and that gave me all the empathy I needed to attack this character in the way that she wanted me to.
Got you. And what about you, Rainey? How did you prepare for this role?
So, no, the reason I say that is because I got a call at 9 p.m. the night before they started shooting, and I didn't answer the phone because I was like, I don't know anybody from Mississippi. And I listened to the voicemail, and it was actually the other producer, Carmen, calling me frantically because their lead actually broke her ankle, and she was not going to be able to do the shoot anymore. And she was like, can you please do this part? I met Carmen when I did Being Mary Jane. I was a recurring guest star last season on that show. And she was just like, I know that this is probably not going to pay your rate. And I know you probably don't have any interest. And I was like, no, actually, I saw a post about this 2 weeks ago, and I thought it sounded like a really cool project. So it just seems like it was a divine intervention.
That's awesome.
For me to be a part of it. And I've actually always talked about infertility with my girlfriends because we're of a certain age now. You know, once you get in your early 30s, especially in LA, my God, there's nobody to date out there. Thank God I'm married now to my wonderful husband. Shout out to Mike Jones.
Mike Jones.
Not the rapper.
We all say that, right?
But when I was in LA.
That's your husband.
You know Michael?
Of course.
Yeah.
Didn't say you went to Doug, right?
Yeah, he went to Doug.
Yeah, I know Mike.
So anyway,
got that billboard right there on Camden Road. He still got the billboard right there?
That's not my husband.
Oh, not that Mike Jones? The attorney?
No.
Oh, okay, my bad. Not that Mike Jones, sorry.
No, a different Mike Jones.
Okay.
No, Michael is in IT.
Okay.
But anyway, so in LA, you know, a lot of my girlfriends, we were all actresses, very successful women who are trying to figure out, how am I going to have a kid? I cannot find anybody to have children with. And so we were always talking about the struggle from the perspective of, oh my God, I need to start thinking about these things, but I don't know where to start because the only resources available are really expensive. I can't afford IVF. So I didn't really have the opportunity to prepare for the role in the sense of like researching all of the different stories that women are sharing of their own infertility woes. I was coming from it from the anxiety and the fear that my friends and I had been discussing for the past 6 years. But when I got on set, I had the opportunity to really talk with Sanhara about it, as well as Crystal, our director. And I pulled from my own fears and hopes, because at the end of the day, like there's some universal truths that everyone can relate to: fear, hope, envy, jealousy, I mean, those are just base human emotions that we can all relate to, regardless of what the situation is.
Rainey Branch hanging out with us today. Black Girls Guide to Fertility. Also, my man Ali is in the building with us today, hanging out. And you know what? When y'all hear this jump right here, y'all know what that means.
Hey.
Mike Jones. How crazy it was 2 Mike Joneses that went to Dub.
I know.
But this Mike Jones, my partner, he's an attorney. So she was like, what billboard my husband got on Campbellton Road? Hey, y'all know when y'all hear this right here, this is the portion of the show that we play this or that. It's a chance for us to get to know our guests a little better. And as a matter of fact, husband and wife are in the building. Acting husband and wives from Black Girls Guide to Fertility. Ali and Rainey's in the building. So Rainey, you are in the hot seat today.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna see how well your screen husband knows you today, okay? So what we did was, I knew you were coming on the show like 18 months ago. So what I did was I took some questions and we put the questions together. And what Ali and I did was we answered the questions based off how we think you would answer them. All right, and it's a contest between us. Yes, it's a contest between us.
Okay.
So you grew up in Atlanta. So
yes.
Y'all cereal growing up. Did y'all have y'all cereal on top of the refrigerator or in a pantry?
Okay, this is hilarious. It was all the way up there, and then my daddy got the Cocoa Pebbles. My mom would like put it way, 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 way up, and I would have to crawl on top of the refrigerator.
There was a cabinet. The pantry was on top of the refrigerator.
Right.
It was a custom built little section where the refrigerator went, and there was a cabinet on top.
Yeah, there was a cabinet on top of it.
My whole point was they had no money. If you ain't had no money, you ain't had no pantry. You just put everything on top of the refrigerator. Right. Bread was up there. Everything was up there. But that's how this game works. So Ali and Michael, and all you got to do is just pick one, okay? So you wake up in the morning, 2 boxes of cereal on the table. One is Frosted Flakes, the other is Captain Crunch. Which one are you choosing?
I hate both, but I'll say Frosted Flakes.
Frosted Flakes, so that's Michael 1, Ali 0. Cheetos or Cheese Puffs?
Cheese Puffs.
Cheese Puffs, that's 2. Your husband don't know you. Thanks. All right, how about this one? Mexican or Italian, and we're talking food, not men. I know you're married though. Mexican. Oh yeah, we both picked Italian. So
I can't have the carbs.
How about this one? Lemon pepper wings or hot wings?
Oh.
Just pick one though.
Hot wings.
Hot wings. All right. So still 2-0. Michael over Ali. McDonald's fries or Chick-fil-A fries?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A fries. All right, Ali, you're finally on the board, but the score is 3-1. Cruise vacation or destination vacation? Destination. All right, Ali, 2-4 is the score. Vegas or Miami? Miami. All right. Oh no, yeah, you said no. Oh yeah, you missed that one.
You're married.
You missed that one. There you go. 5-2.
I'm not gonna go to Vegas.
Vegas is more couples kind of thing.
I'm too cheap.
Husband and wife. Boy, look at it. There they go. All right, here go a real hood. Here go a real hood question for you. Grape Kool-Aid or red Kool-Aid?
Grape Kool-Aid.
Grape Kool-Aid. All right, bam. There you go. So right now the score is 6-3. I am in the lead. And don't worry about it because this is the bonus question, Ali. And because we are celebrating the birth of one Blue Ivy Carter, the bonus question is going to be worth 7 points today. This can put you back in the game, all right?
Let's go.
So here's the deal. You guys have the new web series coming out, right?
Yes.
Black Girls Guide to Fertility. When does it come out?
January 18th.
At
7 p.m.
And where can we check that thing out at?
You can check it out on YouTube, on our Black Girls Guide to Fertility YouTube page, or you can go to our website, Black Girls Guide to Fertility.
Now, after the screening, everybody loved it. You've empowered millions and millions of people across the United States of America and the whole world. But after the screening, though, you don't feel like driving home, right? So I hand you the trap phone, and you know the trap phone ain't got the 3 numbers on it. And you can only call one of these people to drive you home. And remember, this is for 7 points in the win. Right now, the score is 6-3. I'm in the lead. So who's driving you home? Is it Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, or the late Eazy-E? Now, don't forget, this is the bonus question now. This is for the win. Who's driving you home? Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, or Eazy-E?
I'm going to just go with Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre for the comeback. Ali, congratulations, man.
I love Ice
Wow.
Cube, but I don't know. We can sing along to the Chronic together.
You can ask him about that Detox album.
Right, exactly. Hey, still waiting on that jump. Once again, the movie, the web series again, when can we check it out?
You can check out Black Girls Guide to Fertility starting January 18th at 7 p.m. We premiere on YouTube. Please subscribe to our channel, Black Girls Guide to Fertility. You can also check us out on the web, www.blackgirlsguidetofertility.com.
Hey, when we come back, we're going to reset this thing and let you know how to hang out with all of our guests this upcoming week. It's Mornings with Michael and Friends on Power 108.9. Shout it.
Thank y'all for tuning in.
Hello, I'm coming to you.
Should I stay on or should I?
Mornings, Michael and Friends, Power 108.9. Hey, got an awesome show for you today. Got to say shout out to Big VONN in the building, Raney's in the building, Ali in the building, and of course, my man Polo is hanging out with us. Hey, today's show is brought to you by Nikita Todd Stanley and the Team Todd Realty Group, dedicated to helping people realize the dream of home ownership. For more information, you can visit the website, teamtoddrealtygroup.com. Hey, I gotta say, shout out to the Dallas Cowboys wide receiver, Mr. Allen Hurns. He has already undergone surgery for his dislocated ankle injury that ended his season. Obviously, as difficult as it was to watch the injury, we have heard that he is expected to be ready to return to football by August if no complications or anything out of the ordinary happen. And also a real creepy story that I saw yesterday on the news. Phoenix police are investigating possible sex abuse at a nursing facility after a female patient recently became pregnant and gave birth. Now, sources tell the news sources that the alleged victim she's been a patient at the Hacienda healthcare facility for at least 10 years after a near drowning incident that left her in a vegetative state. Well, guess what? The woman gave birth to a baby boy on December 9th. Now, authorities wants to know. They was like, well, y'all didn't know she's pregnant, and they couldn't tell. They said, how were they alerted to the fact that she was in labor? They said she was moaning. And then next thing you know, the baby popped out. So some questions need to be answered over there at that damn Hacienda healthcare facility. Oh, nasty ass people over there. Right. Man. I mean, you talk about a baby just popped out. They're just, hey, here you go. Wow. Hey, Polo, the Juice man, hanging out with us today, man. Juice, ATL, congratulations, man. The one thing that I love about you, man, is your dedication, and you really do this for real. It's not a fad for you, right?
No, it's not. It's not a fad at all. I actually been vegan over 7 years, and you know my message is the same, man. I'm not trying to push people to be vegan or plant-based. I'm just saying, people, we got to do better, man. 30-minute walk. You don't have to run marathons. You know what I'm saying? If you just get up and walk for a minute, take the soda route and change that to water. Exchange the coffee with teas. You know what I'm saying? Just something like the smallest things will help. And it's just too much high blood pressure, especially in my beautiful Black people and diabetes. We just dealing with a lot, man. I got a homie right now this guy was doing music for Jamie Foxx last year, 2017. We just left 2017, had a Grammy nod. He just called me like, bro, I got high blood pressure and diabetes. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, in 30-something years old, we just got to do better, man. So my message is like, you don't got to do what I do, but just do something.
Yeah, just
you know
do
what I'm saying?
something.
Do something, man. More water and just add more plants into your diet.
And that's what I was about to ask you. That was my question. How do you get started? Because sometimes I think we set too big of an expectation because we say, hey, I'm going to go vegan all 2019.
Exactly.
And you can't even make it to Wednesday going vegan. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing, man. It's not about trying to change overnight. It's about a little bit at a time. So I just started out like I took certain things out. You know what I'm saying? Even if you do this thing they call meatless Mondays, man, that's a start.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
not having meats on Mondays, just having a whole plant-based meal. just adding little things here and there. Okay, I'm not doing the meat today, but I'm gonna have more of the spinach, or I'm gonna have more of the quinoa or the kale or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But just a little bit at a time.
What's
Don't
your
put too much pressure on you.
What's your guilty pleasure, Polo? Come
My
on.
guilty pleasure is going to Dulce Vegan, getting those chocolate vegan cupcakes and those cinnamon rolls. Shout out to Dulce Vegan. Oh my God.
Hey, Whole Foods got them vegan cookies that be in that little cart. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Delicious has a really good mocha almond fudge bar. It's a dark chocolate mocha almond fudge bar, vegan, made out of almond milk. I can't stand coconut milk, so I'm very excited about it.
Yeah. Well, shout out to you. Now I know you got delivery. Just a busy day for you. Busy time for you, as a matter of fact, in January, because everybody
New Year's resolution, man. So we trying to empower people to keep those New Year's resolutions going throughout the year. You know what I'm saying? So
now tell me what I got in my bag.
You got in your bag. So that one you just pulled out right here is the carrot. This has pineapple, apple, lemon, ginger, and turmeric. So this is good for like after your workouts. That turmeric helps put that inflammation and that fire out. Also, that pineapple is a good boost to your immune system. This is kale, pineapple, apple, and broccoli. And then the other one you have celery, lemon, and green apple.
Yeah, and you got that watermelon one too, don't you?
Yeah, but that's seasonal though. So we do try to like stick to the seasons and bring you the foods that are in season at that time. So yes, come summertime, we will be back on watermelon. And I do a big fast during that season too. And I just eat watermelon for 30 days straight, watermelon, lemon, and water. But once again, you don't have to be as extreme as I am. You know what I'm saying? Let's just do something.
Let's do something. Polo, how can they keep in touch with you, Polo?
So you can find me on Instagram at Polizzy. That's POLIZZY, or Polo's World, and Juice ATL on Instagram and all your social medias. And also PT Cross Training, which is the gym we just opened up at the end of the year. Super excited about that venture with my Uncle V and my Auntie Nicole, who are both big time music people who actually were brave enough to step out on this health and wellness journey out of the studio for a minute. I appreciate y'all, love y'all, and man, we'll be back in the studio.
Yeah,
soon.
definitely.
Right now, we trying to get everybody healthy because, man,
can't get in the studio if you ain't healthy.
Right.
Big Von hanging out with us today. First of all, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you on today, man. And congratulations on all those big projects. I know I was a big gamer back in the day. You got your stamp on NBA Live and EA Sports Madden Football, man. That's super duper exciting, man.
A lot of music on that, both of those games, and not only that, it's numerous others. So it's a blessing, man. Like I said, to be able to be a part of hip hop and create, songwriting and all of that. I need everybody to go out and get that Everything's Corrupt that dropped, 3 weeks ago. Shout out to Ice Cube, the homie. Shout out to the whole West Coast. Shout out to Snoop Dogg, was with him yesterday. He got an album coming out too, next month. My thing is, I want to tell everybody this, there's 5 things that I wake up every morning, and do and pray for. And that's prayer, faith, dedication, consistency, and persistency. And when you have those things in your life, everything will work out for the good. A lot of times people, forget to pray and to think about things you can do to better yourself. But, as long as you keep them 5 things going, you'll be all you can be.
Man.
So shout out to my team too. We got Hitchon Ski, Top Big Sides, Amber Lachey, Star, Sparks, well, I'm missing my bad, it's early. Shout out to the amazing Stephanie Davis too, man. Appreciate it, man. And Michael and friends, thank you guys for allowing me to come on the show this morning.
Yes, sir. Big Von, man, we appreciate it. We can follow you on social media. I saw your social media yesterday.
You can follow me. I am Big Von with 2 G's. There's only 2 Big Vons in the industry. That's Big Von and Kate Hill, and that's me. You can also follow my production pages. We got his production on Instagram, and my other one is I am Big Von with 2 G's on Instagram. Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. Hey, Rainey.
Hey.
You excited about the premiere?
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely something to tune into. What do you want to tell everybody about it? Why they should be checking it out January 18th?
I want you guys to check out our web series because this is a conversation that needs to keep happening. And even though it's a really tough subject, we do it in a way where it's not hard, it's light, it's fun, it's kind, it's love. And I just want you to be a part of this conversation because someone in your life is facing infertility issues and they need to know that they have a community surrounding them that loves them and cares for them and does not judge them.
Yeah.
So please, please, please watch. Make sure you tune in with your girlfriends, your husband, whoever you know, and let's just all be a light to other people. You can also check me out, shameless plug, on Lifetime's Pride and Prejudice Atlanta coming out in May.
Yeah.
And also you can find me on IG at Raney Branch, RANEY Branch, like a tree.
We promise you, next time you come in, you got to do that song for us. What's the name of that record you had?
Crunker than I love.
Ali, what's next for you, bro? Yeah. What's next for you?
Well, what next is just continuing to stay prayed up, just like my man said, and to continue to think positive and go after my dreams and ambitions with vigor and tenacity and no quit effort, you know. But you can check me out at Ali the Most High 7. You look up Ali in the Quran and the Most High, so it's not because I get high. The name, the Most High, but Ali. The Most High 7 on Instagram, and starting to coach more this year. I used to coach a lot, and I want to definitely get back into coaching. I like to coach kids. I worked for Chicago Board of Education for 7 years, so I love kids. So if you have a kid that wants to get into acting, please DM me and hit me up, because the future is our future.
Yeah,
so,
that's what I'm talking about. It's good to see you, bro.
You too, brother.
Yeah,
Good
no
to see
doubt,
you, man.
no
Full
doubt.
circle, full
Yes,
circle.
sir. I love my acting brothers, because you never know, like, when they acting or if they like in the real element. Yeah, they just.
I always said, I wonder how it is like being married to an actor.
Right.
You never know if they acting or not.
Damn it, Polo.
Right.
You know what? We're going to a whole nother ball game, man.
Hey, shout out to all of our guests today, and thank you guys for starting off 2019 for us on Mornings with Michael and Friends. This is our first full week. This is our first Monday. As a matter of fact, today is, thank God, it's Monday. Remember that's today. Hey, before we get out of here, I will remind you guys that the country's tax collector is among the federal agencies affected by the government shutdown. Now in its second week. Now during the shutdown, the IRS typically doesn't perform audits, pay refunds, or offer assistance to taxpayers. But if you have questions, though, you can still call them. So while some of the lights may still be on in the IRS building, the agency is currently operating only on 12.5% of its workforce, or fewer than 10,000 federal employees. So
I heard this morning it was 8%.
Oh, down to 8. Okay, down to 8 now. So those tax checks ain't gonna be coming out no time soon. But hey, this guy get this thing opened up so we can get back to work. Hey, one thing I learned today on Mornings with Michael and Friends, that when we talk about fertility, boy, we always talk about the woman. We gotta remember about the men too.
Yes.
It's our fault. So today, check that ball warm.
That testicle temperature.
Yeah, that testicle temperature.
There you go.
When I say ball warm, that was so nasty.
Change up the diet a little bit.
So, but wait, when your husband is sitting there on the couch and has his hands, you know, and just resting, please don't say anything to him. You know, that is for your kids. That's for your future.
Right.
Yeah, that's the Al Bundy. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, A, boxers not briefs. 2, when you see people who like recently got married or they're of an age where you think they should have kids, don't ask them when they're having kids, because you don't know what people are dealing
That's
with.
true. That's true. Hey, on that note, we'll see y'all tomorrow. It's Mornings with Michael and Friends.
Deuces.
See y'all tomorrow. Peace. When I say ball warm, that was so.
I got PC, but you know, I'm gonna head to City Hall now, man. So, you know,
Sorry to end on a down.
No, that's fine.
Actually, I want to get your card. I got 2 kids who they will.
What's the Instagram page for
Juice ATL, and the website is on there on the Instagram page. So it's Juice with 2 U's, ATL.
Michael, thank you so
You
much.
are so welcome. Anytime.
Trying to decide when I'm going to do my.
Oh, I had another one in here.
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
why we're gonna put that up.
Okay, yeah. Just let me know. And right now I'm doing a beta testing. So I'm gonna send you an email with, you know, if it's something y'all want to do at school or not, you know. So
What are you beta testing?
So I'm beta testing my website. So we just like rebuilt the website. So I'm bringing in a couple people, and, you know, discounted price.
Okay.
To like test out the site, and you get a couple other things, but we just looking for people to give us feedback. You know what I'm saying?
Am I keeping it back?
Yeah, you're keeping it back. That's all. You know,
I'll make sure we recycle that jar.
What time do y'all open?
Early, so like 6:30, 7 at the gym, and then I'm usually out delivering probably around 8, 9.
But even if you're delivering, is somebody there to take orders?
At the gym. So in the gym we have a big refrigerator, and it's just always in that refrigerator. So so that's another thing I tell people that don't want to like get the delivery. We can go by the gym and just grab a juice.
I have a juicer.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah,
It's just I need to just get it.
and that's why we started delivery, man. Because it's
VONN,
just
is that one of your
Look at y'all sit down.
Is that one of your records?
Yo, look at y'all sit down.
Oh yeah,
There you go.
little guy, man.
No, you guys
Little bit. I ain't
You're like 200. I'm calling you.
Is this for us?
Oh, but it's like 200. I was going back.
200 for your height, 200 for
you-
your
But it was all here. But it was all
height.
here. It was like just a lazy like I'm 6 even.
Yeah, no,
I'm 6'4".
Yeah. My husband's 6 feet. Just 200 on 6 feet.
Is that all right?
It's not terrible,
But it depends. Like
You
it could be
control
a
that
solid,
200.
it could be
Yeah,
a solid, nice looking 200, or it could be a sloppy.
Yeah.
And that's what I was on. A sloppy 200. Not looking
He was
good.
on the skinny with a gun.
220 now.
You 6'4" too.
Yeah, but you're
So, yeah. And you a nice
But I'm at
200. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm about to grab some now too. And I'm gonna have y'all.
I came down about 210, 208.
Yeah.
I'm back at 220, 225.
You heard Noel?
Let's do it now. I'm about to do it now.
I can't get 1.5.
It's political.